This deadly encounter happened April 12th, 2025, around 10 p.m. at the corner of East University Avenue and Short Vine Street in Cincinnati, Ohio. The armed robber falls to the ground, but he gets right back up. Looks to me like everybody walks away. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. So, what do you think? Is this in a high crime, dangerous area of Cincinnati? Well, crimegrade.org says yes, it is. Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First.
I spoke with the FOP president, Ken Kober, who says that if that teen would have been kept in the juvenile detention center, Kyle Myrick might still be alive today.
You didn't see this coming. I mean, you look at his criminal record, he's been arrested and charged, has more charges than he has years on this earth.
A 15-year-old is facing charges for the murder of 25-year-old Kyle Myrick. Right now, you're seeing video of that teen, known by his initials, DM, allegedly shooting and killing Myrick outside of a liquor store blocks away from UC's campus on Saturday. Court records show us DM has 16 previous charges, starting from when he was just 13 years old.
Okay, so what are we seeing here? We see the young robber look left, then he looks right, and then he reaches for and pulls his gun from the front of his waistline. See how his right shoulder kind of rises up? And note how his elbow juts out to the side about 90 degrees. See the gun? Oh yeah, and he's also wearing a shiesty mask. All the better to conceal one's identity. At some point prior to this, the young robber, he got out of the rear driver's side of this vehicle. So maybe don't have your head down focused on your phone in a high crime dangerous area after dark. Just leave it in your pocket. It is a time and attention suck. It's a distraction. To the point that he doesn't even see this gun draw. He's able to get the gun out without alerting the intended victim. It's only as he begins to close that gap, that we see the intended victim, we see him have a focal shift from his phone back to what's in front of him. And at that point, then he reacts by pushing off the suspect's chest, thereby dropping his phone to the ground, which in my opinion is a very good thing because he was holding his phone in his dominant hand. When you're out doing business, you might want to consider learning how to do things, how to hold things with your non-dominant hand. You don't want to be manipulating your phone in the same hand that you may suddenly need to draw your firearm with. That was a thing that was drilled into us in law enforcement. Dominant hand remains empty for emergency type work, like master grip, draw, ready up, and trigger time. As he pushes off, he simultaneously turns his hips and shoulders away, blading his dominant side, his gun side, blading that away from the robber. But he's looking over his left shoulder, monitoring what's what. As this violent encounter continues to develop, beginning to move and expand distance, the bad guy pursues him. We see him repeatedly looking over his left shoulder to monitor the robber's progress and position. That's a good and necessary thing. By blading his gun side away, he created somewhat of an obstructed view for the robber, which means that he had somewhat of a surreptitious draw. I think he did a good job of drawing, and also using a quick transition as he suddenly turns back, sending his first round. Look at the distance. These guys are still way too close to one another. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe 1 meter or so. Well, both hit what they're pointing at. The unjust criminal aggressor's first shot is just fractions of a second after the innocent victim's first shot. This young armed robber, he survives this gunfight. Though he does briefly fall to the ground, he gets right back up. Kyle Merrick, the victim here, he was mortally wounded. Mr. Merrick ends up stumbling out into the street where he collapses and dies. Mr. Merrick continues moving and firing, striking the armed robber 7 times. Did I mention he did this while he was moving? As he begins to fall to the ground, what do we see? Well, we see the front passenger side door open, and then the back passenger side door opens as well. As the other members of the robbery crew are considering getting involved until they see their friend get back up off the ground. How are you even going to know where to look for the rest of this crew? Well, the answer to that is you have to see this teen with the hood up and the mask on get out of the vehicle that's occupied by 4 or 5 people. You can't miss his arrival. You got to see that. We'll call him bad guy backup. Remember, where there's one ambush predator, there might be 2, 3, or 4 men acting in concert together. you're going to be a little distracted dealing with the one guy that's shooting at you. Sometimes in the comments, I'll see someone post, well, that's why I carry a gun, as if having the gun with them, that's going to guarantee that they're going to win. First time, every time. It doesn't work like that. Don't misunderstand me. I can still carry a gun as well. But for me, it represents a much smaller percentage as it relates to solutions to these kind of problems. Yes, when it's the solution, it's the only solution. But think about the work that we can do in the 95+% to just avoid this in the first place. That means understanding and applying things like logistics, good planning. So at almost 10 o'clock at night in Cincinnati, Ohio, rather than choosing to drive over here to get my liquor, maybe I drive a little further to one of these green areas, one of these lower crime areas. I get my liquor there. Looks like this store has a big supply. It means knowing your area, being efficient at arrivals and departures, seeing early and understanding exactly what you're seeing, great decision making, and having a disciplined approach, not becoming complacent. If you were to think in terms of executive protection for your family and even for yourself, that is a winning way. Why? Well, despite the cool videos that executive protection agencies put up, showing guys with guns doing dynamic and coordinated team-based drills, because clients want to feel safe. And part of that feeling safe is they need to be convinced, they need to believe in the capabilities and the hard skills of the protectors. Despite all of that, professional protectors, they do the work to avoid getting down to that gunfight. They don't want to end up in that gunfight. About 95+% of the work, it's not the gunfight. It's in how to avoid the gunfight. So if you've been thinking that family and personal protection looks like an old Western gunfight, that kind of thinking focuses on high-stakes gambling, where you might lose much more than just your money. Now, most of you already get this. You've got common sense. But for the one or the two who are going to think that they're different, that this kind of reality, it doesn't apply to them because they practice their shooting hard skills. Well, so did Kyle Merrick. Mr. Merrick also had a YouTube channel, and his very first video showed him doing some work, practicing shooting. This is that video at what looks to be a public range. Probably this helped him to actually hit his unjust criminal aggressor 7 times. But none of those hits were incapacitating in nature. It's hard to hit an anatomical switch, the central nervous system, with your first shot every time. It's going to incapacitate when both you and your unjust criminal adversary are moving and shooting. Switches are a lot smaller than a USPSA A zone, so there's that. Even the most elite special forces teams on the planet sometimes lose men in battle. Gunfighting is a dangerous business. Yes, we want to come to understand the underlying fundamental principles. We want to build hard skills, and we want to constantly stack the odds in our favor for those instances where we cannot avoid dealing with an unjust criminal aggressor. Kyle Merrick got the first shot. He hit his target at least 7 times. This would be an example that there are no guarantees. So you best be ready. If we're doing the work, if we're doing the thinking, then we're going to be way ahead of our adversary, and all of that is going to happen in the plus 95%. Probably in the plus 99 point something percent. Little more time, little more gas. This guy's not your problem. Focus on the 95% so you can avoid all of the drama that is going to hold sway in the physical, the legal, and the political battlefield.